Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Amy and I am a maker based in the Peak District in the UK. I hope that your holiday period was kind to you, that you are all well. We've had a bit of a slower start to the new year. My partner and I, we've both been sort of feeling a little bit under the weather, so we've just been taking it easy really. Although we did wake up yesterday to the most glorious sky, and it just felt like the hills were beckoning us to go and explore them again. So we went up to Brown Knoll, which is part of the Kinder Plateau. It's only like a 15-minute drive from our house. It was pretty windy. I think there was like a wind chill of something like -4 degrees. But it was really good to just get out, properly stretch your legs and enjoy the views. So then when I got home, I did a little bit of reflecting on last year and sort of, you know, what do I want from this year and things. And that was kind of on all aspects of life. One of the areas that I looked at was things that I'd made, mainly sort of garments that I'd made for myself. And so, yeah, I kind of looked at what I made, what I didn't make, what has worked, like what actually has got use and what hasn't. It's been a bit of a funny year really for me and making. It feels like the year that I kind of fell out of love a little bit with sewing, but then like fell in love hard with knitting. And I think, yeah, in sort of looking at what I made, I think I've got a better idea about like why that happened. So yeah, I was just going to kind of talk you through everything that I've made. It's not actually that many items. I think it was about 8 or 9 items, and that's both sewing and knitting. Yeah, kind of just talk you through each one and sort of, well, it's not quite pros and cons, but I guess it's observations, as it's kind of been part of my wardrobe, and sort of therefore what I'm thinking about in terms of my plans of what I want to make this year. So yeah, let's get going. So I think maybe we should start with the one that I'm wearing. Also, this might be a quite quick one because this is the jumper that I talked about in my last video. So this is the Forager Sweater by Melody Hoffmann, made in pencil roving by Plutolopi. As I say, yeah, I already talked about this in last videos. I won't kind of go into detail about sort of what I thought about making it and things like that. I'll just talk about now what it's like wearing it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how much wear this jumper's actually got. I feel like it was a bit of a risk because there was quite a lot of things that basically there's not been anything in my wardrobe like it, so I didn't really know how I would accept it. But it is ridiculously warm. Yeah, it's definitely the warmest sweater I've got, so that's great. I am finding it a little bit prickly, so I do have to wear things underneath it. So today I'm just wearing like a merino base layer because it is really cold outside. So yeah, I have to wear it with something underneath, otherwise I can kind of feel it, especially, you know, like this bit of your elbow. I think I'm quite sensitive. I talked in my last video about the neckline, and I think it does bother me a little bit. Like if we kind of look at it with, I mean, this is quite a high neck. That's not that high neck, is it? I don't really like seeing what I'm wearing underneath my jumpers. Like I'd much rather it, you know what I mean, it covered. So yeah, I did talk last time about whether to sort of unravel the neck backwards, no, cut it out and make a new neckline and kind of just sort of cinch it in a little bit. So I'm still thinking about that. The only other thing that I found a little bit tricky with wearing it is just like finding other things that it goes within my wardrobe. I think it's just the colour. or I guess maybe the tone of the colour, and also the length of it, sort of where it cuts. I feel like it sort of limits what I then wear on my bottom half. So yeah, I'm still learning, and maybe it kind of making me think a little bit about what I would like in my wardrobe to then go with this. But yeah, I think this was a resounding success. So I think the biggest win of the year was probably actually then with like more sort of everyday practical items. So I made a couple of effectively like tank tops that I could wear as underwear. So this was the Sophie Hines Axis tank pattern, which yeah, it's, if you're in the sewing community, like you must come across this pattern. Like it's one of the most sort of one of the popular patterns that everyone's making. So she's got two versions of it, so I made both versions. So we've got a high neck version and then a low neck version. And sorry, they're a bit crumpled, I've had to pull them out of the washing basket. Because yeah, they basically get worn every day. I was really pleased, sort of, you know, fit out of the box was great. I didn't really have to, I think I maybe played with like the sort of the waistline and how that sat after doing a toile. But yeah, the fabric is, they are both from Made by Wardrobe. They are a cotton jersey, stretch cotton. They are buttery soft, like they feel amazing, they feel great on. Pretty easy to work with. I think I had a bit of a faff first, sort of just trying to get the that top stitching, where you sort of then top stitching the what's this called? The bands down. Oh, I don't know. It's been so long since I've like sort of talked about sewing. So yeah, they were really quick and easy to make. And yeah, the fabric has held up really well. It's sort of, there's no real sign of aging, even though yeah, they've been worn a lot and therefore washed a lot. It does kind of bag out a little bit over sort of a few days wear, so you kind of then chuck it back in the wash and it sort of recovers. So yeah, I'm really pleased with these. I don't think I'm rushing to make any more. I feel like 2 is enough at the minute. I wouldn't mind making another of the low neck versions, just because kind of, yeah, go back to this neckline talk. It's just easier if I have something that kind of sits more here, that I don't really worry about how it layers. So that was a really satisfying and successful make. At the same time, I had a go at them making pants knickers as well. I don't think I've quite mastered this yet, so, and also I can't really remember what I did for this pair, but so I'll maybe save that for another video where I actually kind of go back through my notes. And yeah, as I say, I want to do a bit more sort of delving into kind of sort of tailoring a pattern for me, basically. But yeah, it's the same fabric and it's lovely to wear. So yeah, so I think this year coming, don't need any more tanks, but I do need more pants. So I should prioritise that. So jumping back to knitting, the other kind of project that, or sort of like long-term project that I dived into in the last year was socks. So I have successfully made for myself 2 pairs of socks. even though there were, you know, effectively there's like loads of toiles, if you can call it that in the knitting world. So, and I kind of want to go back to them and like maybe like rip them out, or maybe decide that they're not as bad as I thought they were. So yeah, I'm just going to quickly show you, I'm wearing the first pair. Let me just whip them off. So this is the first pair that I made. It's this really cool speckled yarn. So this was dyed by Skylar Knit, which is a very local to me indie dyer, so that's really cool. The yarn is, I think it's a superwash merino with nylon, I think, which now, I think this is where it's a little bit mad. Like, I feel like the amount that I've learned about wool and knitting in the last year is huge. So now I'm not really drawn to superwash merino or nylon or any of those things. But we all start somewhere, don't we? So yeah, again, I'm not going to go into detail about the like the pattern, the recipe that I've used for this, because I spent like over 6 months playing with it, tweaking it, mainly around toe shaping. Got an asymmetrical toe shaping going on. So yeah, and I feel like I'm still experimenting with it. So I'm not quite ready to kind of share my learnings yet, I guess. But yeah, kind of, I'm wearing these socks quite a lot. I was surprised at how much they've bagged out. I don't know if that's kind of normal for a superwash merino. So they kind of, yeah, they've got quite a baggy fit. I also noticed, well, I've had to fix 3 holes in Matt's, my partner's pair, so I made him like matching socks, not on purpose, but yeah. He's got the same yarn, and I've had to fix 3 holes on the sole of his foot, and I was looking at mine the other day, and it is like, it's not about to go through, but I can definitely see where it's thinning, which I don't know whether it's thinning because wool is coming away or thinning because it's stretching. So, but no, the fact that it's bagging out so much means that I find it quite hard to wear it sort of as a proper like sock for walking around lots in, because it kind of, yeah, it's just a bit, you just don't really want excess fabric in your shoe for that kind of thing. So I'm a bit sort of disappointed that I can't wear them more in that sense, but it's fine for kind of like, you know, you nip into the supermarket and you're just going to be pushing a trolley around, like it's fine then, but you know, I wouldn't go on a long walk with them. That's basically what I'm saying. So we've got that pair, and then we have got this pair. So these, if I show you this cute pattern detail, so this is the Grow Socks by Fibre Tales. So I just really like this detail. This yarn is a, what is it? It's got silk in it. It's commercial yarn. It was like silk, wool and plastic, something like that. And they're quite nice. Oh god, I feel like I've learned so much already. It's pilling quite a lot, so it's sort of, it's kind of, I suppose it is got a bit of luster, that you can kind of see a little bit of shine, can't you, on that? But I don't know, it's sort of, it's getting a bit lumpy bumpy already. Again, I don't think it's the most like practical everyday kind of sock. Like, I have been wearing it, kind of just doing bits and bobs, but I'm not going to go for a walk in them. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about them really. I did my same, I've done some asymmetrical toe shaping on these guys as well. As I say, still learning about that. So yeah, I am pleased that I've got 2 pairs of socks that I can wear, and it is the best feeling. I don't know what's better, the feeling of like wearing like underwear that you've made, or socks that you've made. I guess socks are like underwear, aren't they? But it's just like, it's a really cool feeling, especially when it's kind of like only you know that like that you're wearing them. I don't know, it just gives me a bit of a buzz. So but my 3rd pair of socks that I'm currently working on, so I've got one sock done, and then we are this far on the next pair. So last night I've just finished the gusset decreases. But yeah, I'm very excited about these socks. The yarn that I've used for these, I kind of show you. Oh yeah, do you like my yarn ball holder? I wound the yarn on this because I wanted to kind of try and get this sort of, well, I thought I wanted it in a cake so that I could knit 2 at a time, you know, so that I could pull the yarn from the inside and the outside. And then I decided that I feel like I haven't nailed my sock recipe yet, so I wanted to make one, check it out as I went, and then make the second. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. So yeah, this yarn, so this is, let's try and, oh yeah, that's the stuff. So this is the new sock yarn base from Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co. This is the Hearth sock, and it is, oh god, it's, so I've been lusting after her yarn for so long, and you know, it's a little bit pricey for me. She does shop at updates that sell out like instantly, so it was kind of one of those things where I'd like been sort of, yeah, lusting after it for so long, and then there was a shop update just before Christmas, or maybe a little bit, like a few months before Christmas, so I asked for some sock yarn from my parents. So yeah, so I got 1 skein of the Hearth sock set, sock base, and then 1 skein of the original natural sock. But yeah, it's 100% non-superwash, British wool, like it just ticks every box for me. Like, I absolutely love it. So yeah, I've made 1 sock. I went for a 3x1, yeah, 3x1 rib pattern, and sort of did it all the way around on the leg, and then it's just on the top for the actual foot. And I've got my weird toe shaping. It's a little bit different on this one, so we'll see how that goes. But like, it just feels amazing. Like, I'm really hoping that this is the kind of practical everyday sock that I'm after, you know, that I can wear for walking properly in. I'm really curious whether it bags out like the others have. So sorry, the silk one is also bagged out, and so I've kind of knitted these anticipating some relaxing, some bagging out, so they're quite tight right now, and I'm hoping that, yeah, they'll just give just a little bit and then they'll be perfect. But I think this is the thing that, like, I think this is one of the big differences between sewing and knitting, is like, if you're actually using the stretch of knitted fabric, like when you're knitting, I suppose it is the same with sewing, isn't it? Because, like, you know, like with these, we sort of, I guess it's difficult to get your head around how to work with this stretch percentage, and yeah, what kind of percentage do you want? How is the fabric going to behave? It's just a bit more complicated than I guess, you know, a nice cotton thing that isn't going to stretch. So yeah, so I'll keep you posted about these when I finish the other one. I'm hoping it's going to be in the next few days. So yeah, and as I say, my goal is to figure out what yarn to use, what recipe to use to make kind of really, really practical socks, you know, that I can sort of, you know, comfy around the house socks, but then, you know, I can put my walking boots on and go for, you know, half a day hike and be absolutely fine. So that is my mission for this year, is to kind of, yeah, refine that. And yeah, with this definitely this preference towards 100% no nylon, non-superwash, like proper woolly wools. I know that there's a couple of people now talking about sort of like knit alongs for this year. So there's the Melody Hoffmann is doing a natural sock knit along, so check her out for more information. And also Inga from Knitting Traditions, she is definitely, you know, also on a sort of campaign for rustic wools and stuff like that. So there's lots of people who are kind of trying to figure this out. You know, it's this thing of which are the best yarns, what's the best, you know, well, yeah, what's the right kind of starting fibre, what's the best yarn, what's the best way to use the yarn in terms of the gauge and stuff like that, and reinforcements. But I think so much of it seems to then come down to kind of just yourself. Like, you know, it seems like, you know, depending on how you walk and kind of where you might then wear through the socks and stuff, just seems to vary a lot. So yeah, you kind of have to figure it out for yourself as well. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that project, I guess we'll call it. Okay, next up I have got 4 different sewing projects to talk about, and basically none of them are really getting that much wear, but for very different reasons. The first one I'll talk about is going to be quite quick because I don't even have it with me. I think it's stuffed in a box somewhere. In the summer I kind of wanted like quite a lightweight sort of linen-y, breathable top to wear. I get sunburnt really easily, so kind of coverage and stuff like that is quite important to me, otherwise I have to just literally bathe myself in sun cream. So I made, it was a free pattern actually, it's the Krissa top by Nicole Studio, and I made it in just sort of like a sort of linen scraps that I had lying around, and it was a really quick, easy make. I think I made it in a day, and yeah, it kind of like ticked all the boxes. I think I wore it maybe once on a walk, that's the picture I've got of it. And then I washed it and it shrunk. I know, it's like just kind of, I don't know, it feels like it's too tight basically, can't wear it. So that's my fault. I assumed that I'd washed this linen scrap, but I obviously hadn't washed it at all. So yeah, need to remember that. So yeah, like I think it might fit somebody. I've got quite a lot of quite petite friends, so I'm hoping that I can kind of just offer it to one of them and they'll maybe get some use out of it. Otherwise I guess it'll just be good for cutting up and remaking into other bits. Yeah, so I think I would possibly make the pattern again, because yeah, as I say, it's quite nice as a kind of, yeah, I get very, very hot in the summer, so it's kind of I just like having easy breezy kind of tops, so I quite like that. So yeah, maybe I'll need something again this summer. So yeah, so that was a nice quick one. The next one I'm like kind of sad to talk about this one, as in it makes me so sad that I'm not wearing it because of how much work I put into it. But maybe this is a good learning lesson. So I made this quilted jacket. So just give you an idea of the length. So I've got to admit, this was completely driven by like seeing this kind of jacket on Instagram. And I just thought it was really cute, and I thought, you know, oh yeah, you just throw it on over the top of everything, be a really good kind of like, you know, in-betweeny jacket. It's not quite like a warm coat, it's, you know, it's sort of, yeah, it's just like a nice little extra layer. And then I was really pleased with like my fabric choices. So I've had this, I don't know if it's a branded cotton, I can't remember. But yeah, I've had this cotton fabric in my stash for ages, and I just thought, well, this is the thing, is I thought, oh, it's blue, it's navy, like it goes with everything. But this was the first problem, is it's a pattern. So like I've got a pair of like navy and white sort of pinstripe culottes that I basically live in the summer. And like this is far too similar, so I can't wear those two together. So yeah, I need to think more about solids versus patterns, I think, in terms of fabric choices. On the inside, I've got this gorgeous, like it's, I don't know what it is because it was really cheap from Abercan, so it's probably a bit plasticky. But yeah, like this sort of silky fabric for the lining, like is just spectacular. I love the two of them together. It's amazing. Leftover wadding went inside of it, so it was like one of those projects that just came together really well, where it's like, oh, all these things in my stash can now actually get put into something. And then I machine quilted over the whole thing. So I don't know if we can see the quilting lines, maybe. So that took forever. And then when I came to then deciding what to do about finishing, I really like the idea of having it all bias bound, but I decided it all then needed to be hand sewn. So, which actually now I really like hand sewing. But this was when I didn't like hand sewing. So yeah, I machine stitched the first layer, and then all of this inside is then hand sewn. And then the whole thing had to get hand sewn at the side seams. So this is, that seam is all hand stitched. So so much time went into this project, and so as I say, I'm finding it tricky to pair it with things because of the pattern. But I think the biggest problem really is that like it's just a little bit too fancy for me. And I know like for most people like that this isn't fancy. But yeah, I'm quite a chilled clothes wearer. I don't know what you call it. I'm pretty casual with what I wear, and like I couldn't really imagine just like wearing this to the supermarket. And it's not the kind that you sit around the house in because it's got such structure to it. Like it's not like a cozy thing to put on. It just kind of, I don't know, you sort of like this wearing it. So I think I had it in my head that maybe I would then wear it to like, I don't know, evenings out, like, you know, going somewhere, like going, you know, to a restaurant or something. But then obviously we've been in lockdown, so I haven't been going anywhere. And then also it's that thing of like, if you do wear it, then what? You're gonna put it on and then get in the car, then you're gonna drive somewhere, and then you're gonna get into the restaurant, and then you're gonna take it off. And then to be honest, because I'm so precious about it, I wouldn't know where to put it in a restaurant. Like I would then be like, I don't know, I'd have to very carefully fold it and then put it in a bag and then worry about where the bag was going. Like it's such an impractical garment for me. So, oh, I didn't tell you what the pattern was. It is the Allwell Workshop, their cardigan coat, slightly modified. They're an amazing company, go check them out. I think what I love about them is that it's about kind of going, hey, here's a baseline pattern and here's everything you can do with it. And I think it's just great because I think it's amazing to educate people about sort of taking control of what they're making rather than just making exactly as specified. But yes, so I think I'm not ready to just give up on it just yet. I think I'll keep it in my wardrobe for like another year, let the seasons go through again, and see if I can figure out a good time to wear it. I think it's also that thing of like, you know, I no longer go to an office, you know, so like it, you know, you could have worn it as maybe like a sort of a work jacket or something. So yeah, so I'm willing to think that next year things might be a bit different. Maybe we won't be in so many lockdowns, and it might get some more wear. So yeah, I think I still have a need for a jacket of some sort, but I need to think about exactly what are the requirements for the jacket before making another one of these. Okay, while we're on jackets, sorry, I realised I have another jacket to talk about, and it's also going to be really noisy, so I'm going to like quickly show it and then put it over there rather than like constantly touching it. So I wanted to make a, basically I've been wearing the same like, you know, I don't know, regatta raincoat for years and it's trashed and it, you know, it's like, I'm a very practical dresser, so if there's a chance of rain, I want to put on a raincoat. Like I'm not going to go out in something that I can't get wet in, because that's daft, and I don't like umbrellas. So I thought I would upgrade my sort of, yeah, naff raincoat for a waxed canvas coat. Sort of, yeah, I guess Barber style without being full on Barber. So yeah, that was the kind of the need that I kind of had, and I chose the Merchant and Mills pattern, is the Landgate, and got some. I'm trying to remember if the cotton, yeah, sorry, the fabric was from them as well. So I'll just quickly show you. So yeah, I'll insert some footage, and also now not stop touching it. So it's a gorgeous fabric, like it's a gorgeous colour, like I like that would have been absolutely fine in my wardrobe. But well, I've got issues with the fabric in terms of its use, but also the pattern. So maybe the fabric first. So yeah, I made it. It was quite a lot of work, and then I wore it, and well, I wore it in a rain shower, and I would say quite a moderate rain shower. Like it was kind of, I think, you know, we were just walking around around town for half an hour, and it was like just a little bit of rain, and I came home and I realised that I had wet shoulders, and I was absolutely gutted. Like I thought this was the answer. I was so excited about, you know, the natural properties of waxed cotton and stuff, you know, rather than needing plastic, and yeah, it let the rain through. I was absolutely gutted. So I have done a bit of researching about what's going on here. Oh god, it turned into a right sort of episode. I was a bit, don't know how much to say here because like this is the internet. I was a bit miffed because the way that Merchant and Mills had kind of described the fabric had implied that it would at least take some rain, and I feel like that's not what it's doing, and so I expressed my upsetness, my miffness, displeasure to Merchant and Mills, and we had a conversation about that, and that's a private matter. I, at the same time, well, it was one of those funny things. I decided to try and understand whether a waxed cotton fabric should be showerproof, waterproof. And this is the problem, is that these terms mean very specific things, and it's like, what are you actually asking the fabric to do? But I ended up on the phone to a chap who is like a sales manager for like some very well-known, well-used waxed cotton manufacturer. And I was on the phone to him and we talked about how waterproof should this be. And he was saying, you know, he was just like, well, you know, I supply fabric to all of these people, and they make coats that are supposedly, you know, waterproof, showerproof, whatever. So he was quite surprised, and so we had a fascinating conversation where like we were talking about how much of it could be to do with how the fabric is used. So we realised then, you know, that you know, a lot of these coats perhaps have got, you know, they're not relying on a single layer of fabric, which is what the Landgate pattern uses. It's a raglan design, but the bit that's sitting over your shoulder where you're, you know, if you think about how rain hits you, like it's coming in here, and this is where there's pressure, like the sort of the fabric is being pulled close to your skin. So it's kind of like it's making it easier for the water to then travel through and actually sort of touch you. And so yeah, we talked about how different coats then might have like 2 layers of the waxed cotton or something else inside it. You know, because if you think about a Barber jacket, and like I've been that person then who, somebody's wearing a Barber jacket, I've then like, well, somebody I know, like a friend, not strangers, I've then like asked to inspect their jacket, and I've been like trying to feel it to see like how it was put together and how many layers are inside it. So yeah, so we had this great conversation about all of that. It turned out he was pretty confident that it was his fabric that I was using, which, you know, it's just like, of all of the people that I could have ended up talking to, I'm talking to the supplier to Merchant and Mills. So so he was very troubled about the fact that I'd, you know, that I tried to make this jacket and that effectively I had a complete failure of a jacket. And so he actually sent me reproofing spray because he was concerned that there was something wrong with his fabric, basically. I don't know, like seconds, or maybe it had been, you know, not stored correctly. I don't know. So he actually sent me reproofing spray. But before that, I had actually tried to effectively reproof it with a wax. So I'd got the Fjall Raven. I can't say that name. They obviously have a lot of, not obviously, but they have a lot of wax cotton fabrics, jackets. And they have information on their website about reproofing and stuff like that. So I got their wax and tried to apply it. I don't think it made that much of a difference, and also you can see it, like it's kind of left a sort of pale waxy residue on it. So I didn't really, I did it on one shoulder, I think. I didn't really want to cover the whole garment with it. So I'm yet to try the reproofing. I I'm tempted to try and like melt off this wax first and then apply the reproofing. I don't know. Basically there's more stuff I need to try and make this waterproof, but I don't really know if I want to actually invest that much more in this particular jacket, because I've realised that the pullover style, so it's got no zip, like it's got like a quarter zip to here, but it is a pullover, like anorak style kind of jacket, and it's really impractical. Yeah, my partner tried to warn me and tried to say, you know, you won't like a pullover, especially when it's wet, you know, try and think about then trying to get it off. And he was right. So actually, I think the coat that I've got in my head isn't this one at all, and I don't think I really want to try and, I mean, I could cut it down the middle and try and insert like a zip and a wind guard, shield, whatever thing, that thing that overlaps. But I don't know, I'm a bit, you know, you sort of like, you just sort of fall out with the project. Yeah, so it's sort of, I haven't really been wearing it, but I do still want a jacket like this, so I need to decide what to do about that this year, whether I just start again or whether I just keep chucking things at this one. Okay, so the last actual finished object that I made that I can talk about is a pair of dungarees. So just kind of give you an idea, and then we'll have some footage. So these are, well, they had so much promise. I really kind of wanted just a kind of proper slouchy pair of dungarees that you could kind of just throw on with anything, you could wear to do anything, and yeah, just maximum comfort basically. And I thought I'd learnt my lessons from the previous pair of dungarees I made. I think I've talked a little bit about them in the last video, I think. Because that one I'd used a cream coloured fabric, lightweight linen. It was just like a really impractical fabric choice for kind of just, you know, something that you just want to be wearing all every day, all day kind of thing. So I thought I would go for, like, this is a very dark navy. It's kind of like corduroy, but not. I think it's more of like a twill. But it's got that same kind of like, it's quite heavyweight, you know, kind of thinking, yeah, this is the kind of thing that you can sort of like scramble about and not worry about kind of staining them or damaging them or anything like that. I also went for a pattern, I guess it was the kind of like Lucy and Yak kind of bandwagon. So this pattern, they used to be called, oh no, the dungarees are called the Heyday Dungarees. I'll insert it. Yeah, loads of people have made this pattern, so I thought, no, I'll go for that. And I quite liked, you know, it is that kind of style of just sort of very loose, but kind of with a slightly tapered leg. Because that was the other thing, is my last dungarees were quite wide leg, and I felt like it was a bit more of a statement than I wanted. And I was also, it was hard to pair it with different shoes, whereas this is kind of like tapered leg, folded cuff kind of style, goes with everything. So yeah, so the fabric is from Merchant and Mills. Fabric's lovely. Fabric was really nice to work with, I think. I had a few sticking points with the pattern and the fabric. I don't know whether this is just like too thick basically, because there's this bit, there's this bit here where you're trying to attach the loop to the bib, and I don't know, you've got like 4 layers of fabric in the loop and then 3 layers of fabric in the bib. Like it's too many layers of fabric, and I think yeah, you were supposed to fold that underneath and it would have like added another 4 layers, and I was like, no, my machine is not going to cope with that. So there's a few places where it doesn't look great, but that doesn't matter. Like I don't mind having slightly messy insides, like it's okay. Like the main thing is, you know, actually having sort of like proper wearable stuff. But yeah, I've really tried very hard to enjoy wearing these. But I don't know if it's the pattern or the fabric or the combination. The fabric is very heavy, as in like, you know, just even standing, the weight that you feel like through the shoulder straps. Like, and I think I'm quite like a sensitive sensory kind of person, so like I really don't enjoy that kind of like feeling here. So yeah, very heavy, very stiff. So like yeah, and no, sorry, I think that in a combination with the pattern, because the pattern doesn't pull in at the waist, it means it is just hanging down. What I found is when I'm walking, it's that stiffness and that kind of like all in oneness just means that like, I don't know, there's something going on with my knee that's pulling the fabric up and around my bum, which is then pulling the back down. So the whole thing feels like it's doing this. I really don't enjoy it, and I feel restricted when I'm walking. Like I can't actually like lift my knee that high, you know. So if you're going upstairs, you feel like you have to then like you have to like pull up your trouser leg to walk up the stairs, and I'm not a massive fan of that kind of thing. Like, you know, your garment should just kind of just like allow you to do whatever you want to do. So I don't know whether I could rectify that issue by inserting a channel around the waistline and inserting elastic inside the channel, because maybe if it just cinched in, then like my other pair of dungarees, the kind of what's happening to the trousers, what's happening to your legs is kind of, they're not having any impact to the top half of you, because it's kind of being held at your waist rather than being held at your shoulders. I'm not sure how discreetly I can do it, do you know what I mean? Whether it's just going to look a bit naff. But the other thing that I'm not massively keen on is I think something's gone wrong with the legs, and I need to go back and check the pattern, whether it's a pattern drafting issue, which I know happens in the sewing community, in the sewing world, or there is a chance it's actually I just cut out the leg, well cut out, it's all in one, isn't it? Yeah, so that it's full length pieces. I'm suspicious maybe I didn't cut out the fabric on the grain correctly, because basically one leg is twisting more than the other, but neither of them look great. So I am normally very, very careful with how I cut out, because I've seen enough stuff about like grain lines and trousers to know that you need to be careful. But I'm just, yeah, I'm not sure what's caused this issue, but they just kind of sit a bit weird. So I need to sort of understand that. Like it's not a reason to not wear them, but it's just another thing that kind of like is a negative towards this particular pair of dungarees. But I should try and fix them. My other thought as well actually was, because it is such nice fabric, is whether to actually just like cut off the bib top bit and just try and turn them into trousers, like elasticated waist trousers. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see what's gonna be easier, whether to do the channel and keep it the dungarees is easier, or whether to add a complete waistband is easier. Like, yeah. I need to figure that out. I think the other sort of potential thing is that I needed less stiff fabric for what I was hoping for, you know, for that kind of like slouchy dungarees. So maybe it's just not the best fabric. So that's on me. So yeah, that was it for actual finished garments. I didn't think it was that much, and now I've talked it through. Maybe I need to give myself a bit more credit that it, like, there is some significant projects here. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I did 5 t-shirts. Like, it's sort of, yeah, they all took quite a lot of work. So the last project that I kind of worked on but didn't actually sort of result in a finished garment was then kind of trying to sort of generally make trousers that fit. So I started with just trying to make like a pair of shorts with an elasticated waist, which sounds like it would be really easy. But I wanted to make a pair of shorts that, you know, you could actually like walk and climb in and sort of actually get, you know, proper range of movement. And I went down a huge like research path with that, trying to make pairs for me as well as my partner. And I don't know, I got very lost in the whole fitting space in the sewing world, and it seemed like there were a lot of people talking about fitting at the time. So there were a lot of resources being thrown around, there were loads of examples, and like I just got so despondent about it in the end. Like it felt insurmountable to try and fit something on myself, especially trousers. I think I had more luck with a bodice. Like I did the whole bodice block thing, and I think I got a lot closer with that. But the trousers were just a nightmare. I think because you're fitting it statically, but then you're walking and you're sitting, and it just feels like everything changes as soon as you try and fit to a body that's moving and sitting. So yeah, I got really, really downhearted, not really sad, and like just, I think the problem was then that everything I thought about making, like sewing for myself, I went, oh yeah, but it won't fit out the box. I'm gonna have to do a load of fitting work on it. And so every project went from, you know, something I could maybe like do in a day to like, oh no, that's probably gonna take me like a week worth of work. And I wasn't confident that I'd actually be able to do it. And then it's just a lot of wasted time and material. So I think that's kind of, I suppose I had a lot of kind of projects that didn't really then have that, like, you know, pure joy when you complete them. So you're not kind of getting that satisfaction. And then, yeah, this sort of overwhelming feeling that, like, you know, every project is too big. I think I just stopped sewing for myself. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I think, I don't know whether that's when I then sort of fell into the knitting, and found more joy in knitting. I think because, you know, if you're just making, there's a lot more scope for just making like a loose fitting jumper, and it almost doesn't really matter how it fits, as long as, like, you know, as in like positive ease is fine, as long as it's kind of like, yeah, it's good enough. And so I think I kind of found a bit of refuge in that, maybe I just needed a change. Maybe it was just not sewing, and that's what appealed. Although I realised when I realised there was one knitting project, my first kind of comeback project to knitting, was a complete failure in terms of fitting. I think because I'd gone off piste with like gauge and stuff like that, and yarn, and I didn't understand it well enough. I ended up with like raglan decreases that just did not fit in the slightest. So that was quite a big setback, because then that was like, oh god, like knitting is just as hard as sewing in terms of fitting. But then that's when, with this project, and I talked about this in the last video, you know, I said, right, go for, you know, a well-known pattern, well-used pattern, go for the recommended yarn, actually do a gauge swatch, and you know, and I guess, you know, look at the measurement chart correctly, like properly, look at the finished measurement chart, and, you know, you sort of give yourself sort of like the best chance of success. And sure enough, you know, I've got something that I really like the fit of. So I don't really know where I'm going with this now. It's just sort of, I guess it's interesting to think about like why you're drawn to certain makes and what's putting you off making certain things and stuff like that. So it's given me a lot to think about for what I want to make this year. And I think I would like to like consciously sit down and choose a number of makes and sort of have a goal. And you know, at the minute, my kind of like I guess my list of my wish list of makes, they're mostly like knitted jumpers, but that's not what I need. So I want to go back and think about like what gaps I actually have in my wardrobe, and I think I need to challenge myself to sew again, you know, and just sort of have a bit of a mix of quick and easy wins versus then kind of more challenging projects. I realised, you know, like the way that I would sew is I would kind of sew quite intensely, you know, like it would sort of be like a whole day activity and I would just get lost in it. And it was definitely that kind of like flow state feeling, and like I really miss that. So I think, yeah, I need to find the joy again in sewing rather than kind of like, I guess all of this sort of stress that I've kind of now associated with it, with fitting garments. So yeah, so I'm going to do a bit of thinking about what I want to make, and yeah, I guess I'll share that with you guys and sort of share the rationale, I guess. But yeah, I would love to kind of hear, I guess, your own thoughts about your making, and kind of, you know, how does it change over the years? What's it been like last year? I suppose a lot of us, because of lockdown, it might have changed what we were wearing as well. You know, as I said, sort of, you know, not going to the office anymore and things like that. So maybe there's a lot of people kind of seeking comfort in their clothes rather than kind of style. So yeah, I think I'll wrap this video up here. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic, and I'll see you next time. Alright, bye.